Hello. Welcome. This is a press conference where we are talking about the findings of a research report on the characteristics of foreign direct investment in rural America. My name is Heather Rank. I am with the U.S. Commercial Service. We are a division of the U.S. Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration. I am the office director in Fargo, North Dakota, and I'm also the rural team leader. So we have more than 80 colleagues on the rural team spread throughout the United States, from Alaska to Hawaii, Florida up to Maine, and we work directly with companies and investors and communities to create economic development in international deals. We're here today to discuss the findings of a research report that was done to find out what drives success in rural FDI in America. What's so great about having this report is that it sheds light on the promise and opportunity in parts of the U.S. that are often not in the limelight. Our Deputy Secretary, Karen Dunn Kelly, is going to share some key findings from the report. And we also have some honored guests who are going to share some examples from their states. We have Governor Bevin from Kentucky, and we have Governor Fallon from Oklahoma, and we have Luigi Lazzareschi, who is from Italy and brought an investment into rural Oklahoma. In addition to the rural FDI report, we've had a few other rural-focused programs here at the summit, including a rural booth over in the U.S. government section of this trade show area. And we also had a panel on Wednesday where we had people from rural America talk about what they've seen on the ground as successful strategies to attract foreign direct investment into rural America. We had the North Dakota Commerce Commissioner, Jay Schuler, on that panel. We had Greg Myers from Wapakoneta, Ohio, and Dr. Jim Collard from the Citizen Potawatomi Nation in Oklahoma speaking on that panel. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Karen Dunn Kelly. She is the Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of Commerce, and she's been very instrumental in planning this summit all along. I will turn it over to you now.
Thank you very much, Heather, for those kind words. And allow me to first start by saying that the Secretary is very sorry he was unable to be here for this event. He views it as incredibly important, but was called away on other duty. So with that, let me say that today's release of this special report from SelectUSA is really important. Governor Bevin, Governor Fallon, I'm delighted that you could join us here today to have this report. We must work together from the local, the state, the regional, and the national level to rebuild and strengthen the American economy. On behalf of the administration, I applaud the long-term and steadfast commitment you have made on behalf of the citizens to attract investment in both Oklahoma and Kentucky. Like many states, both Oklahoma and Kentucky's economies are classified as rural. And the report underscores the vital importance of foreign direct investment in rural communities across America. The report shows that since 2003, more than $57 billion of investment in rural America, creating 95,000 jobs. So if half of your state is viewed as rural, this is important. It is a great start, but as we like to say, we need to do more. We need to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, good paying jobs like that across America. We are doing what we can to improve the investment and certainly regulatory climate in the U.S. to help attract these investments. This report finds that much of the rural FDI is in small communities with only a couple of thousand people. The average FDI project in these communities creates more than 100 jobs, which in small communities like Inola, Oklahoma, can lead and have led to economic revitalization. Sofidel invested more than $300 million this year in Inola, will create hundreds of good jobs for that community. Thank you. Thank you, Sofidel's CEO, Luigi Loreschi, who I had the pleasure of meeting with yesterday, for joining us again today, and especially for your commitment to Oklahoma. We also know how important economic development is to Kentucky. Governor Bevin has been incredibly active in rejuvenating the state's economy, and just a few weeks ago, the governor attended a ceremonial start to construction of a $1.5 billion investment by Brady Industries at an aluminum rolling mill near Ashland, Kentucky. These types of investment are the lifeblood not only of American rural communities, but of our nation itself. I commend the SelectUSA team for its work in producing this report, that report which will help promote the United States as the world's premier investment destination. Thank you again, Governors Fallin and Bevin, for your devotion to the economic development as a means of lifting the fortunes of the citizens of your states. And again, thank you all for joining us today at the summit, but in particular, joining us today for the release of this very, very important study. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. At this time, we're going to invite up here the Governor of Kentucky, Honorable Matt Bevin. Governor Bevin was elected the 62nd Governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky in 2015. He has managed and expanded multiple businesses ranging from manufacturing, investment, and medical devices. And his businesses created a great many well-paying jobs for hardworking Americans. Governor Bevin, would you share your insights on investment in rural Kentucky?
Thank you very much. I spoke earlier to a large room and I said the diehards were in the room. These are the real diehards. These are the people who stay to the very end. Thank you for being here. Rural America, not just rural Kentucky, rural America is an incredible untapped opportunity. So for your companies, for the companies that you represent, understand, I'll touch briefly on some things happening in Kentucky, but that's not always the largest and most well-known names that make an impact. It's sometimes small companies that maybe you've never heard of. The largest FDI, foreign direct investment, that was made last year in Kentucky was $1.3 billion from Toyota, a name we all know. Last year we had $2.5 billion in foreign direct investment in Kentucky, coming from a variety of different places. But some of those that are the most impactful are in the rural communities. And in a moment, you're going to hear from Governor Fallin, who will talk about Oklahoma. I love Kentucky, but many good things come from Oklahoma, including my wife. So I love Oklahoma as well, since my wife was born and grew up there. But I will tell you just something quickly about rural communities in Kentucky. The people in rural communities in Kentucky are like rural people in every part of the world. They work hard. They are loyal. They are grateful. They love where they live and they don't want to leave. These are the kind of employees that you want. If you want to produce something, you want to make something in a community, if you come and have a profound impact in that community will love you. Those people will love you. They will be grateful. They will work hard. Their children want to grow up to work in that facility. These are the kind of things that happen in rural America. They happen in rural Kentucky. I'll just highlight a couple real quickly and then I'll sit down. Just recently, I also broke ground on an opportunity in a rural community, Todd County in western Kentucky, very rural. It's in a field, 100 acres of just what was corn and soybean fields. And a company from India is the primary investor in a company called Novelis that's an aluminum rolling mill, invested $305 million to create a facility that will employ hundreds of people. Also, in a nearby county, Simpson County, a company from Germany, Fritz Winter, which is a very large producer of steel-related products. They're forged products. This particular company had no presence in North America, and after lots of conversation, decided to set up their forge and their operations in rural Kentucky also, creating hundreds of jobs. These are the kind of things. They come from a variety of countries. Last year, our top 10 came from Japan and Germany and India. They came from Thailand. They came from France. They came from a variety of different locations. They came from China and Korea. These are the kind of things that we come to these conferences to talk to you about. The last one I'll tell you about before I sit down is not a big name. It's not a big deal, but it was a big deal to a small community. I was in France 2 years ago, and I met with a small company in rural France. They have companies and facilities all over the world, but they had nothing in North America. They make a product where they make every year 10 billion of what they make, and people throw them away, which is a good business to be in. They make popsicle sticks and coffee stirrers out of wood. They make 10 billion. They thought maybe we should go to North America. It's a big part of our marketplace. So they have since come, to make a long story short, and they came with an initial $15 million, much smaller than these other numbers we've said, but $15 million, and has created more than 90 jobs in a very poor rural community near the Appalachian Mountains. You hear a lot about Appalachia. What it means to this community, I can't overestimate. The appreciation that these people have for these good jobs with good benefits. That's what you have the ability to do. You and your companies have the chance to find fertile soil where you can grow opportunity. And we in our states have the chance to provide for you workforce in a community and a quality of life and a cost of living and production that you may not find in other places. And so the chance for us to put these things together, we're grateful for. And the time is right, because this cabinet of this Commerce Secretary, Wilbur Ross, and his deputy, who we just heard from, and this entire team has a passion for revitalizing business in America. And now with opportunity zones, which you will hear more about, with this release of effort focused on rural communities, the time to invest in America, to invest in rural America, to get tax incentives, and to get a hungry, able workforce exists like never before. So whether it's in Kentucky, whether it's in Oklahoma, or whether it's in another state, we welcome you to come and speak to us, as long as you start by talking with Kentucky first. Thank you very much.
Those are some great examples of the impact of foreign direct investment in small communities. Something we talked about in the panel the other day was, when you come to a small community, you can be a big fish in a small pond. You'll get more attention, you'll get more help, and the can-do attitude is universally greater because you're not lost in a sea of people. So you gave some great examples of what happens when you go all the way through that process. Thank you. We're now going to hear from Governor of Oklahoma, Honorable Mary Fallin. Mary Fallin was voted in as the first woman governor of Oklahoma in 2010. As the former chairman of the National Governors Association, Governor Fallin led a nationwide initiative called America Works: Education and Training for Tomorrow's Jobs, seeking to better align education with 21st century workforce needs. Governor Fallin, please share some insights from the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, thank you so much, and we do appreciate all of you staying this Friday afternoon to close out some of this session today and this wonderful conference that we've had. You know, as I was attending this conference, I have to tell you, Deputy Secretary Kelly, that one of the things that was going through my mind is that if you want to do international trade and you're from America, or if you want to do international trade with America, this is the place to be. And a tremendous opportunity to meet people from all over the world, to learn more about all the opportunities across the world, but also to learn more about the states and to meet the companies and the people running the states. It's just really a great opportunity to be able to network and, of course, to bring more jobs and opportunities. Now, you just heard from Governor Bevin. We love Governor Bevin, but more than that, we love the First Lady of Kentucky, Mrs. Bevin, because she is from Oklahoma, but we also like Governor Bevin, too. It's a great byproduct, and actually, as governors, are pretty competitive, when it comes to economic development, and he is certainly a great governor for Kentucky. But let me just say how much we appreciate the Commerce Department hosting this wonderful session. Now, for us in Oklahoma, and we're so glad to have your report about rural economic development, typically when a company looks at coming to a state, they may look at the bigger cities, our major cities, Oklahoma City and Tulsa and some of our other communities. But the reality is there is a tremendous opportunity in the rural areas to find a good, qualified, educated, skilled workforce. And you're right, many times these companies located in these rural communities are the big fish in the pond. In fact, that's one of the selling points I use to some of these companies. As I told Luigi when he came to Inola, Oklahoma, you will be the only big fish in the pond in that particular community because it's a very small community in our rural areas of our state. But these people that are employed in the rural areas really do appreciate the fact that a company has made their home in their communities, especially if they're foreign investment, because that doesn't always happen in the rural areas. And I will tell you, in our experience in working with Luigi and many other companies, but the company like Sofidel in our state, what we found was there was so much excitement about the opportunity to have a major paper processing plant, especially from Italy, in the state of Oklahoma, and to have someone that is so big in the national marketplace and paper manufacturing to come to that community was that we found there was a tremendous amount of people in the local area willing to step forward and say, I want to help bring this company to our state. And I think Luigi will tell you the same thing. So we found that the local community, certainly the county participated, the state participated, the Commerce Department with EDA grants helped us with some of the infrastructure things that we needed. Cornell Wesley, excuse me. There also, the federal side helped us, and then of course all the chambers of commerce, and we even have Native American tribes in our state who also stepped up to help in this particular project. And I think all in all, we counted that we had about 12 different groups. It wasn't just a chamber of commerce in a community, it was everyone involved in that particular area or statewide or even on the federal side that came forward to help bring this international company to a rural area in Oklahoma. And as a result of our team family effort that we put on in Oklahoma, we've seen our foreign direct investment wins, in other words, projects that we actually close, is now 20% of all wins in our whole state, which is a large percentage of our wins of companies that are closing in Oklahoma. Well, we've also seen over the past many years that our foreign direct investment is up 56% in our state. We are having a tremendous success with the partnerships that we bring together and the cooperation. And we've also seen about $5.4 billion in total investment over several years come to the state of Oklahoma in all areas, whether it is large cities and even into the rural areas of our state. So there are great economic opportunities for not only our citizens, for companies coming to America and looking at investment. And I think they find that America is a great place to invest and to do business. But I can tell you all that, but who you really need to hear from is the man that brought the large investment, over $300 million, to the state of Oklahoma, to Inola. He probably thought when we started telling him about the piece of land that we had, where is Inola? Because you could barely find it on the map. Very small community, I think maybe 1,000 people. I mean, it's small in our state. But I want to tell you a little bit about Luigi. So Luigi Lascerischi, I'm going to say it right, it's hard to say in Italian, who is the chairman and CEO of Sofidel in Italy, which is, as I mentioned, I think it's number 2, leading 2 in that region of Europe in paper manufacturing. And in America, we would say they are the Charmin of America. So that's how big they are. But we had the opportunity to be invited to go see his manufacturing facility. Many of us sitting right here in this room went over on that trip because we took a team effort of local people, state people, and our commerce people to Lucca, Italy, which was a hard job, Governor, but you know, sometimes we governors just have to make these trips and do this thing. Had a wonderful experience touring the plant, meeting with his board, meeting with his family-owned company, visiting, spending almost a whole day at the facility, learning about what their needs were, and it actually took us about 3 years to get through the whole process of finding out what they needed, how we're going to meet those needs. And as you can imagine, something as large of investment like this, there were times we'd say, okay, we're through with everything, and then all of a sudden something else would come up. Maybe it was an access road, maybe it was a gas pipeline, or getting the right piece of land, or the electricity at the right price, which we have fellow partners here that helped us with that too, with our utility companies. So we had the opportunity to go over and see him, and Luigi, I don't remember how many times you've been to Oklahoma, but a lot. I know you were at the governor's mansion, I think at least 3 times. Governor, we love to entertain at our governor's houses, so he came to see us many times. And then I had the opportunity to go back to Italy the next year and went back and met with him again. And so there was a lot of back and forth between the state of Oklahoma, Sofidel, and meeting the different needs, going through all the different steps that you have to take. And it's complicated, especially when you're building something as high-tech as a paper manufacturing company and one of the caliber of Sofidel. So in the end, we broke ground recently, and the land is already being developed in our state. It's a big piece of property. There were so many people out there working and getting everything ready to start the construction of the property itself. He hired local people. He brought in some people, but it really helped our local communities. And of course, when the plant is operational, then he will be hiring a lot more local people in that facility. We've been working with him on workforce needs and certainly finding the right people with our Department of Commerce. So let me just introduce Luigi, because he, as I mentioned, is on the board of directors. He has a master's degree in business administration from the University of South Carolina. So we know he already loved America because he went to school here. He took over the group's marketing department in 1988, and then, of course, he laid the foundation of growth for the brand of his paper company, which is Regina brand, which is a very prominent brand in Europe. And, of course, they have now reached the top spot among Italian exporters in the industries with papers. And, Luigi, we just are glad to have you here to tell your story, and we're very proud of your company. Thank you for your investment in Oklahoma. Come on up, Luigi.
I have a couple of good news for you. First one, this is my last speech here at this summit, so I don't have to torture with my English anymore. Yeah, today we are pleased to announce publicly our decision a few months ago to start breaking ground on the Inola, our Inola site. As it has been said, it's quite a large investment for us, $360 million that is going to be spent in the next 2 years. It was not planned today, but probably it's just a coincidence. Also, Mr. Bevan should be happy about it because we have already chosen already a few months ago our general contractor, that is Gray from Kentucky. So it looks like that has been done on purpose. It is not. So congratulations to both states. This is an operation that is going to employ 300 people, more or less, in 2 years' time. We already have an operation that we started a couple of years ago in close to Inola, actually close to Tulsa. Inola is just a few miles east of Tulsa, where the actual machine and people are going to be transferred once that site is going to be fully operational. As you know, probably the governor didn't have the courage to say which kind of paper we are producing. We are producing toilet paper, kitchen towel. As you know, our product is very light in weight, very bulky. Transportation and logistic cost is very important. So it's not that we can have one site in US and serve all nations, but we need to have a few sites to cover the West, the South, the Southeast, Northeast. One of our goals was to cover quite well the central southern part of US. So we look around Oklahoma and the state neighboring Oklahoma. And finally, we have found Oklahoma has been our best choice for a few reasons. Our industry, as you may imagine, needs quite a lot of land, flat land. In the case of Inola, is close to 300 acres of flat land. We need quite a lot of water, energy, gas, and to be railway connected. Now, none of these are really big and huge, but when you sum all of them together, it's not going to be easy to find the right spot. And Oklahoma, other than, for other reasons that maybe I'm going to just say afterward, was chosen especially for the low cost of energy, gas, and energy, and electrical energy in particular. But also we find a very good relationship with people over there. And everything started here at SelectUSA, I believe 4 years ago, when we first started meeting people from the Oklahoma state. Actually, as I was saying to the governor Fallin the other time we met, I thought that I was being cheated by the Oklahoma state, because when I was here, there were two really gorgeous girls advertising Oklahoma. They understood where we were looking in terms of energy, water, and land. And they made their study, and then they invited us to come. But when we arrived in Oklahoma, those two girls were not there anymore, but they were two ugly guys, but very professionals. So, well, thanks. I don't really, we are really excited. This is going to be an important project for us. And thanks for being here. Thank you.
Only an Italian can get away with talking like that, right? Thank you for participating in this event today. I want to recognize the main author of the report, and that's Maureen Book. If you wouldn't mind raising your hand. These things aren't done by faceless mice running around. She put a lot of time. And actually, we talked a lot about this report last year at SelectUSA because our booths were next to each other, and the execution has been great. So if you want to see the report, it will be on the selectusa.gov website under the Reports and Publications tab. So it should be out there today. It should be out there now. And you're welcome to use it and share it as much as you would like. Want to thank our honored guests who came today and helped provide the substance for this discussion and the idea generation. And thank you all very much for your attendance. Thank you.